got your own area.
Then don't ask them to pay for it.
And we're not
because once again,
so you want to stay away but foot the bill.
So you got to do that with everything
and now
else in the tax code.
Now it's the boodle and nothing. Stay away from us but pay for us. Do you realize that guy's going to hate you?
That other side of the coin. If we're going to do that, if we're going to give you that, then you got to go through everything and you got to give us the same thing. We're not going to pay for certain shit that we don't agree with.
Can I ask you something real talk? While we're having real talk. Why do young black men fight in packs?
Welcome back. As I'm sure you've noticed, race relations in America aren't exactly where we would hope they'd be in 2025.
You guys heard of the term black fatigue?
And if you thought that was heated, all I have to say about part 2 today is hold on to your butts.
Black and white on the gray issues. Steven Crowder has some major cojones. This right here could be a highly successful series on its own. So I might look into that.
What I said earlier, and you listen to this, is when you have young white person going, okay, why is this happening? And people go, Black Lives Matter. And they go, well, hold on a second. I have an opinion on Black Lives Matter. They go, well, sit down, shut up. Okay, now silence is violence. And that kid goes, well, what do I do? By the way, you're on the hook for reparations, even though his father, his grandfather, his great-great-grandfather didn't own a slave, and he's still 12 times more likely to be killed by a black person the other way around. What I'm saying is society is going to create a generation of racists. What do you say to that young white kid? What do you say to him?
Stop watching, stay off of TikTok.
Stop reading stats.
Stop paying attention to what these talking heads are saying, because they're leading you down the wrong path. They're leading you down a path of paranoia and conspiracy.
Or they're leading him down the path of reality, and he needs to watch his 6 and his 12 if he's got a group in front of him. I mean, use your head. These stats are inconvenient truths. We call that malinformation. I'm sorry.
What if their interactions with black people in general are quite negative?
So same thing. Give the same thing in reverse. What about black people who've had continuous, not only historical, but personal experiences?
Yeah,
where they've been at the wrong end of white
people. Here's the thing. I'll tell you.
And then we get told that those stories are invalid.
No, you're not.
Yes, we do.
You're not.
I've been personally told my story was invalid.
I'll give you an example. And by the way, the only thing that keeps my heart protected from racism, by the way, the only thing that protects me from not wanting to go out and kill the person who shot Charlie Kirk, because by the way, there are 2 people on earth who know what it's like to sit in that chair. Sure. Me and him. And I just did it at SMU and had to have entire bulletproof glass and an army to go in and have conversations, right? So I'm a little bit pissed off about it. Also, people have tried to take my life many times. So I don't really have a whole lot of sympathy for anyone, white or black, saying, oh, must be. Yeah. You ever have someone show up at your house? You ever have someone show up at your house when your kids are sleeping with weapons being swatted? Like, we've been living through this for a long fucking time until you don't know what it's like. I will say this. My faith is what has protected me. My faith is what has protected my heart from becoming racist. But I've had a lot of negative interactions. That's why I'm sitting here. I always love to edit this because just the word. By the way, if you want a relaxing vacation, stay home. Don't go to bed. I know, but my kids love it. So I go there, okay? And I'll tell you this. They have like this magic wand thing. You run around the hotel and it opens up chests. And I'm sitting there, I'm sunken eye, and there's a black guy next to me. Obviously a dad with like his daughter and his son. And I just kind of looked at him. We looked at each other in the face like, yeah, we know. This is exhausting. And I know we have a lot in common because his wife or woman is probably in the room because he's there with his kids by himself. I was too. But then we were there at the water slides. My kids are 3. And this happened not once, but about 4 or 5 times. And it happened 3 times with one. Black kid was about 5 or 6. Shoved my son out of the way to get on the water slide. Okay? My son did nothing. Shoved him out of the way a second time. Came back. My son's 2, 3 years. It's a big deal at that point. And then at one point I look over. Mom, no dad. And I just go like, hey, he's being aggressive. Okay? Comes back the 3rd time. And I go, hey, hold on, you have to wait in line. You know what my son said? My son said, well, Daddy, maybe he's in a real hurry. We should let him go. That was a different interaction. That kid kept doing it to every other, and it wasn't the only one. And you know why? Because I've taught my kid, hey, you're going to have people who look different from you, and it doesn't matter. You treat them well. That kid wasn't. And I'm telling you, along with the empirical, anecdotally, if you have a young white person who has these interactions on a regular basis, and I'd be lying to you if I said they were uncommon, while being told they need to shut up because of systemic discrimination, you're going to create a generation of racists.
I get it. But that
This is facts. That is 100% facts. And we've all been in the situation. I don't care who you are. You've been in that scenario where some single mother's kid is just acting out of control and then you say something to the kid finally because you're not having somebody bully your kid that's half their age, and they got to get an attitude and try to make it like a racial thing. When in reality, maybe it is. Maybe it's a cultural thing. I don't know. But we've all been in that situation, so I know exactly what Crowder's talking about.
I was poorly parented too.
I agree. All the time.
That child was poorly parented. There's no way in the world his mother shouldn't have intervened with his the first time.
No,
the dad ain't nothing, Steve.
The dad wasn't.
There was no dad.
That's
That's the mom. No, I say because it's not a race thing. The dad, him and I looked at him like, dude, I get it, right? We're both tired, but here, this kid, I don't know. Maybe the dad wasn't there. His mom didn't. And he shoved my son out of the way.
But poor parenting though. Yeah, that's what I
say all the time.
That's what I was about to say. It's poor. It's poor parenting everywhere, and that creates individuals that grow up to be grown up individuals. And
if Crowder does not bring up the stat differences, though, like, yes, of course, everybody has bad parents of all races, but when you have, 13% or 6%, if you're talking about males committing over 45 to 50% of violent crimes in America, this isn't like an everybody does it thing. It's a disproportionate, inconvenient truths again.
some of those individuals end up getting positions of power.
See, can I drop one thing?
What?
Yeah. Because I like the thing about choices. And you were talking about the federal
By
department.
the way, the whitest.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Like, there's a couple things. You said you ended up in, and so you don't have to worry about things that people in South
No, I said I've been afforded some things.
afforded.
Yeah.
Why? How are you afforded that? You just happen to, like,
No, I sacrificed some things to live in.
correct.
Right.
You make good
I made choices. I made
we talked
choices.
about and we talked about educational standards.
But I also had opportunities available to me too
Sure.
that some people didn't have.
Of course, everyone has a different lot for sure.
Right.
Sure.
But you were talking about educational standards. Why is it that the Asian kid does 3 times to 4 times as much homework than the black kid, and the white kid does 2
Conditioning.
to 3? Why?
Because it's culturally, it's conditioned.
Exactly.
So why is it better parenting from Asian?
Ding, 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 ding. Yeah, that's true. And it ain't really, it's disproportionate in the black community, but it's more of a poor thing because my parents put no emphasis on homework when I was growing up. I'll be the first to admit that. So I didn't do it. There was no culture for homework in my house.
Than white parents. Why?
You said what?
Why is there better parenting? What he's trying to say is, you said bad parenting.
Well, I said
so. Why is there better
culturally-
parenting from
culturally
Asians
teaching-
than white parents?
Yeah,
Correct.
culturally, the educational mindset, culturally, when
it all comes back
among
to
Asians,
choice.
they're taught from young
Yes.
that's primary.
Sure.
Over anything else, entertainment,
Also obeying the law.
how you dress, none of that matters.
And it,
Up here matters.
right,
Yeah,
and they're also
I agree.
about 3 to 4 times more likely to have a father in the household than a
That
white.
too. That too.
Why is this disproportionately affecting this one kid? Because I have a question because I actually have, like, my uncle, my aunt's married to a black dude, one of the most accomplishment of all time. Helicopter pilot, National Park Ranger, served his country, has a Ferrari in the driveway, right? He wears, crew socks so we can forgive him for some things. But my whole life I've had this great black role model in my life. But then I try to ask questions, and I have a hard time asking because I don't want to upset that relationship.
You're being responsible with your work.
So I want to ask now, like, we talk.
That you look like you're in the Third Reich.
Being responsible with your words. I mean, it sounds like he's saying, if you ask me something that upsets me, you can deal with the consequences. And that goes both ways, but why can't you just have a civil discussion like you're having right here? Clearly you can. You invited Crowder into your barbershop twice, which is a big deal, and kudos to you for doing that. But that goes the same for this kid's black uncle or whatever he said. Don't say you're being smart with your words. It's just like, how about you be chill with your reaction and just having an adult conversation? Is that possible?
But then if you talk about there's no power. Well, we were talking about Charlotte, and you said the black activist judge. Well, in Charlotte, it's not just the black activist judge. It's the DA that's black that instituted those policies. It's a black mayor. So could we at least agree, before the civil rights movement and now, do blacks have more or less institutional power?
There's been some bad and some good that
We have
come
less
along with the civil
institutional
rights.
power, but you know
Before the civil rights
But you know, yes. But you know what we don't have?
Well, you're-
No, we're
as
more.
a community, we don't have the unity.
Well, here's the problem we have.
So the last thing I want to ask.
I would argue they have complete unity. The black community is probably the most tight community there is. I know there's a lot of black on black crime, but I mean, shoot, look how many people donated that one kid money, bought his whole family a new house, who stabbed the white kid at a track meet. No white people do stuff like that. And I know you had the racist woman say some slurs to the little kid at the park, and that was people's insane reaction to the donations of that kid getting murdered. They saw the black community funding this kid as if he was some sort of hero for murdering this white kid at a track meet. So I totally disagree. The black community has a lot of problems internally. I get that, black on black crime. But when it comes to like black versus white, they all get together. And I'd argue that the white community does the opposite. The white community is very quick to throw out and pour gasoline on one of their own if, if it looks bad in the eyes of the public, or they deem they could be canceled for having a certain opinion. So I totally disagree with that statement.
The last thing I want to ask.
I want to ask you a question before you say the last thing.
It kind of all throws together, and I'll just let you go.
Okay, go ahead.
Why was the black community one of the fastest growing economic demographics in the country? Why were there tons of fathers in the household? Black people were becoming great role models and integrating into society naturally. And now it's substantially worse
You know why
than
it's worse?
it was before Martin Luther King.
You know why it's worse?
Yeah.
Because of the fact that and I'm gonna say this openly because I can't get into the specifics, but I work for an entity that I was flabbergasted to learn this. All right, and what we do is we provide Medicaid, right? And this is a former campaign I worked on, and I was awestruck when I would have white females that would call, and they would call on behalf of their entire family, which included the husband, right? So many people say, well, the welfare queen is having more children because she gets more of more food stamps. Well, here's how it really works, and I can tell you this from firsthand knowledge, right? Let's say I've got a household of a wife and a husband, and I've got 4 kids. That household can earn up to $6,900, right? And here's what happens. Even if the husband is in the household, many times they're self-employed. So, of course, you can skew the numbers any way you want. And you and your family will continue to get full health care. A black mother is always told that there's a man in the house, number one, then it's a no-go, okay? Look at the Section 8 Housing Authority. Now, here's what happened, and you want to know what happened, what caused...
I agree with everything you're saying.
Yeah, what caused the problem in Black America. What caused the problem in Black America is the fact that when the father became absent in the home, right? When he became absent in the home, it left the mothers to bear the brunt. So to answer your question, do we have more influence in some areas? Perhaps, but ask yourself this: do we have more influence economically? Because if you go back and you look, prior to the civil rights movement, let me tell you something right now. You had more black carpenters and tradesmen all over the place. Overwhelming. Yeah, that's right. But you're probably...
I totally agree with everything this gentleman's saying. There's definitely incentivizing black mothers to stay single, so that's easier to hop on government assistance. And then they're telling their kids that, and then their grandbabies that. Like, everybody knows this, but you still don't have to do that. You don't have to participate in that. And yeah, blacks before the civil rights movement had a lot more businesses, were a lot more family oriented. It goes back to the cultural thing. You can't say there's some power that's bringing you down. If anything, it could happen to any group of people. If you get them dependent on government subsidies, you will get bad cultural tendencies. It's just going to follow it. But I like to end there because this is a high note of agreement between the gentleman who's blind and this guy with the black uncle. Steven, again's got some cojones for this. If you made it this far, you're a real one. I'll see you next time.